Thanks for staying with us tonight. I'm Greg Gutfeld in for Bill O'Reilly. And in the Factor follow-up segment tonight, how the breakdown of the family structure is ruining the American dream. On the Factor last night, Bill debated author and PBS host Tavis Smiley about that very issue.
Politically, socially, economically, the numbers bear out the fact that if you happen to have less melanin in your skin, the chances are that you will do better. And
the odds are you'll do better, but it isn't because of white privilege. It's because of
because you're smarter?
No.
Because you work harder?
You just asked me. You want me to answer?
Tell me why.
It's a collapse of the black family. That's the reason. And I'll tell you this. Every major corporation in this country has outreach to minorities. They want minorities. Every college has outreach. They're in New York City here. You can go from preschool through your graduate degree and never pay a dime if you're a minority. And I will go back to the fact that it is about the disintegration of the African-American family and the not having supervision on the children that is holding black Americans back.
And now a brand new study proves Bill had it right from the beginning. No surprise here. He's always right. Joining us from Charlottesville, Virginia, Brad Wilcox, the co-author of that study and a visiting scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. So, Brad, what was the major finding from your work? And give me the hard specifics.
Well, Greg, what we're finding in this new report is that the sort of precarious place of the American dream right now is really related in part to the retreat from marriage in America. That almost 1/3 of the growing economic inequality in this country can be attributed to the breakdown of the family, and that wages are stagnating for ordinary families in part because fewer couples are getting married and staying married. And that takes a real economic toll on ordinary families across the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Brad, why does this research make people, specifically in the media and in academia, so uncomfortable at it? I always feel that it exposes how destructive, I guess, the last 4 decades have been preaching the idea of self-fulfillment as opposed to sacrifice.
Well, it's a great question. It's interesting. You look at, there's been a lot of discussion of things like incarceration lately, about things like teen pregnancy lately, about things like inequality lately. And it's true that race is related to that. It's true that education is related to that. But one of the best predictors of those important outcomes is family structure. And this family factor is not really addressed that often in many media discussions and many academic discussions. And I think it is because people feel uncomfortable talking about the M word, marriage, when it comes to these central issues of our day.
Yeah, I think also, I mean, the key, what your research is saying is the key to long-term success is stability, which you find through family, support, and work. The problem is that's boring. People would rather read about the Manson family instead of the traditional family, and that lends itself. If something is boring, people are less likely to be interested in it.
Yeah, I mean, it is true that kind of the conventional family is often boring. But I think it's also interesting to note that many better educated Americans, including obviously the Obamas, have kind of gotten the message since the 1970s, since the divorce revolution, that the best thing you can do for yourself and especially for your kids is to follow kind of a conventional sequence of getting married, having the kids, and avoiding divorce court. And that's kind of a new reality among better educated Americans. They're doing pretty well across racial lines. The problem, though, is that working class and poor Americans, both black and white, today are much more likely to get divorced and even more so to have kids outside of marriage. And those two facts are putting them at a permanent disadvantage and their kids at a permanent disadvantage as well.
Brad, how come this isn't a priority for some leaders who could actually make a difference? I know that President Obama cares about this, but I don't think he talks about this enough. Why are you the spokesman and not him? Shouldn't he be holding this study and saying this is important?
Well, you know, the president's been very good on the issue of fatherhood. He's been really outspoken on the importance of dads, and I commend him for that. But he's also been actually quite outspoken with his staff when it comes to marriage. He's basically told one of his staffers who was dating a young woman, basically, go ahead and get married. It's the best thing for you. It's going to really improve your life dramatically. But the problem, though, is that the president and many progressives really don't articulate this kind of marriage-friendly message to a larger public. And I think that's a shame because the country as a whole needs to hear that message, and we need to be more attentive to the importance of marriage, particularly for our kids.
Yeah, but I have to say, wrapping this up, that the findings to me are so obvious, but the problem is it is not cool to say that families matter and that families equal success. It opens yourself up to mockery. It's not something you hear on The Daily Show or Saturday Night Live. You hear it here on Fox News, and then people say, ha ha, that's, square. Brad, thanks.